Welcome to Men Is Everything Okay podcast. I'm your host, Okay, and today we are joined by...
Hi, my name is Peter, Peter Olowe. I'm a co-founder of Cornerstone Partners, which is the first angel syndicate exclusively investing into businesses owned by and started by Black founders. I also am a multi-franchise owner for a restaurant chain, sandwich restaurant. I'm sure many of you may know Subway. So myself and my wife, we run a number of Subway franchises also. Great to be here.
Hi, I'm Nana. I run a small IT company, and that's pretty much it. Just help medium to larger companies with their IT. We do all kinds of IT related stuff, from websites to support to back-end infrastructure. Pretty much do a whole bunch of digital.
Hi everyone, my name is Adishola Cole. I am the CEO of Tritech Consulting Limited. We're an award-winning project management and business analysis training, mentoring and consultancy company. So what I do in essence is train candidates, give them work experience and try to get them to work.
Hi, good evening everyone. My name is Nathan Simmons. I am a mortgage and protection broker. So what I essentially do is give people advice on their mortgages and their insurance that is related to the mortgages, home insurance and life insurance, and sort of hold their hand throughout the whole process. So our company, we do all types of mortgages that you can probably think of, and all these sort of insurances that would go with your mortgage. We give advice and when we set it all up. So yeah, what we do.
Everyone say hi!
Hey.
Hey.
Hey everyone.
A quarter of UK businesses have had to shut down in response to COVID-19. So today we are going to be discussing the impact of COVID-19 on self-employed. I want to know how the lockdown has impacted your business.
Yeah, it's impacted us quite significantly. As you can imagine, as a restaurant owner, we've had to shut down our businesses, which basically means zero revenue. However, at the same time, I think it has brought to light a lot of opportunities, just opportunity to kind of step back and plan for the future and really rethink the new world that we're stepping into, because I think one of the things about COVID-19 is that it's bringing to reality the fact that yes, there will be a lot of things that will go back to normal, but there'll be a lot of things that's changing permanently, and what that means for our business and what that means for our strategy moving forward. So I think it's impacted us a lot, and also regarding staff. So we have 18 staff members, which you are obviously impacted by this. Obviously, the government has provided a lot of support through the furlough program, which I think has been great. But also it leads to just a lot of anxiety, a lot of just uncertainty. I think is the key thing moving forward, just not knowing exactly how long this will last for, what it means, if it lasts a lot longer than we think. I've had to do a lot of kind of projected cash flows, looking at different scenarios, obviously negotiating with different suppliers to try and curb just what's going to happen in the short term. And then just kind of really thinking forward to looking at the impact it might have on my industry as a whole in the long term is also a big factor. So yeah, it's had a big impact, but not all of it would I say it's negative.
So you said that you've had to shut down. So prior to the lockdown being announced, did you have any concerns? Did you have any fears?
I wouldn't say I had any fears. Obviously, the usual. It's just usual business as usual. Just moving forward, and we literally had just opened up a new store. I think probably about 2 months just before the shutdown. So we were actually at an exciting stage of our kind of growth. Things were going really well. So it was quite annoying, should I say the word, just to kind of put a pause to that too. But again, you just have to roll with it. Anything can happen in life and in business. So you just have to be flexible enough to also just be able to really knuckle down and figure out what it means for you and how you kind of not only survive it, but my mindset is also, how do I come out on the other end stronger than even before, right? Which I think is more than possible. So before it, I wouldn't say there was any fears. You just kind of getting on with business as usual, thinking about expansion. But it's made me think differently as to a few kind of areas of my business personally moving forward, which I think has actually really helped.
For me, I think the first thing is when we went into lockdown. Prior to that, I was working from home half of the week anyway. So in terms of adapting to sort of working from home, it hasn't been that much of a change for me, because I was a little bit more used to it than I would say most of the population was, and that's mainly because I live up north. And my business is predominantly based in London. So I'd only be in the office, which is in London, maybe 3 or 4 times a week. So working from home didn't really affect me that much, and I must say I like my own company. So in that respect, I was okay. In terms of business, as a mortgage broker, we deal with the purchasing of properties and remortgages for clients that have mortgages already. Now, the purchase side of things has really taken a hit, and that is mainly because valuations, physical valuations, can't be done, because of the lockdown situation and social distancing. So because physical valuations can't be done, lenders are very sort of reluctant to, first of all, lend, and then second of all, they start to cap the loan to values and the percentages that they will lend at, and they will also cap the amounts that they will lend, because there's a little bit more risk with regard to them having to do what is called a desktop valuation, and that's when you value the property electronically without having a physical valuation happen. So the purchases side of the business is really taking a hit, because it's either slowed up or just dried out. A lot of my clients, they don't want to move house at the moment as well. So they've literally just cancelled their mortgages or just put them on hold. And it's a case of, we don't know when or if it's going to go through. With regards to the remortgage side of the business, I think for me as a mortgage broker, it has been, we haven't really seen that much of a change, because it's sort of business as usual. The only impact with regards to the remortgage side of our business is, again, the valuations, but where lenders are willing to do desktop valuations, it's slowed up the business, but it hasn't stopped it. So with remortgages, we're still sort of cracking on, and me for one, I'm still very, very busy. So a lot of positives, I would say, come out of it. I think I liked what Peter said with regards to you being able to sort of sit back and sort of plan, for the future, and just being able to have like a bird's eye view on your business. Whereas before the lockdown, we had our sort of heads buried in it. But where the lockdown and COVID-19 has taken place, it's allowed us to just kind of take a step back, have a little bit more time to think about the bigger picture and how we can move our businesses forward.
Right. I think for me, there's been more positives than negatives. I know when the initial news came out, I was very, very worried, as you would be, anxiety. I was very apprehensive in regards to how it was going to affect my business, also my staffing, etc. But I've been quite fortunate in the sense that because it's an IT training company that I run, and a lot of my courses are IT related, I've been able to move everything online. And as a result of that, I've actually got a lot busier than usual. However, the impact has been me having to reduce my prices, because you've got to look at people that want to join, they want to sign up, but they're affected. So I'm having to reduce my prices. In the long run, however, I've looked at the vision of perhaps keeping everything online. So as Peter said, you begin to re-strategize, you begin to reevaluate, and you begin to look at the bigger picture of, okay, when this is all over, is it actually better for me to take all my training online and therefore save a lot of costs with, you know, venues and trainers, etc. So for me, I still take each day as it comes. So it doesn't mean because things are going well, there might be a month where things take a bit of a dip dive. However, a lot of positives for me, and it's just giving me that opportunity to see how I want to now transform my business when this is all over.
Yeah, so as I mentioned earlier, I'm an IT company. I run an IT company. One of my clients is actually one of the biggest trusts in NHS. So if anything, we've gone busier. We were involved in the Nightingale project, and so I've actually been going into work every day. Whereby most of you guys will be staying at home and can't appreciate weekends. I appreciate my weekends right now. You know what I mean? But yeah, it's been busier because, if anything, so outside of support, there's a lot of stuff we do. We create software, we create apps, and that side of the business actually has had to take a hit because of the amount of energy we need for obviously this whole pandemic. So yeah, from our support side, we are still, you know, on the ground and supplying NHS staff with stuff to work from home or equipment for Nightingale. The Nightingale project pretty much was wrapped up last week. Still a few things to do, but yeah, fortunately, still very much required.
I think we have a new joiner come through. Hi, Ade.
Hello.
Can you introduce yourself, please, and just say what you do?
Okay. Hi, my name's Ade. I own a salon, hairdressing salon, in South London, and I'm a hairdresser as well. And just basically been working on the business for like 6 years now. And that's.
How's it impacted you in your business?
I guess that because obviously it's hair, and hair obviously divides itself into physical and something that's become very popular at the moment, well, for the last 4 years, which is wigs. So I feel like a lot of my clients who would have come in, got a wash, and they now have to do that themselves. And I feel like there's going to be an increase in people buying wigs. So it's just like, some people can think, oh yeah, it's quick and easy, let me buy a wig. But obviously now there's going to be a lot of businesses that are trying to take people's money, selling synthetic wigs, which one of my clients told me she bought 3 wigs and they were all synthetic, just stuff like that. And I personally believe that you'll be scared, and especially me as a hairdresser, like, is that going to have an impact on me even after the quarantine? Because now obviously the only help that I can get is from the government. Another aspect is social media. So because being a hairdresser, I can make wigs and stuff like that. So you can promote that on Instagram. I've seen a lot of ladies doing a lot of e-learning. So teaching people how to do lace wigs and frontals and stuff like that. So I guess that in the hair scene, people are just keeping their clients up to date with whatever you can do when we come out of the pandemic. But at the same time, the way it's affected me is that, I'm not going to lie to you, sometimes you just worry that if you go back, are you going to have a whole load of clients saying me, or you're going to have everyone's used to just wearing wigs. if you understand what I'm saying. So like the majority, and you can see that people will just go to the most popular hairdressers for like the first 2 months, and probably maybe people who are more quieter like me, I would only have my loyal clients than new clients, if you understand what I mean. But yeah, that kind of sums up what the effects has on me. But there are things that I can do to make like passive income. So that's for me. I've just been making wigs. Clients who know me, I've just been making their wigs. But and selling hair. So I've seen that's increased dramatically. Like girls are buying HD front walls and stuff like that.
Now that the lockdown has come, you now have to develop certain skills. Are there any skills that you have to learn, business skills that you have to learn that you didn't necessarily have before, or now it's sort of new to you?
Most definitely. I feel, is someone answering?
Oh, no, go ahead.
Oh, okay. So I definitely something that I never used to take into consideration. Well, I just thought, let me leave it to the IT guys, which is websites and stuff. So especially that thing I mentioned about e-learning, it's like, because I was a bit of a dumb when it came to IT, it's like all the IT, everybody's learned the IT whizzing. So everyone's e-learning, or they've got a brother, or they've got a partner who studies IT, but I don't have that. So I had to like go online and just suss it out with IT, because I now understand how much of a big impact that IT has, obviously because of social media, but I didn't really think of it like that because I'm a hairdresser.
Yeah, so I think for me, one, taking on the training myself as opposed to getting trainers, because as much as things are going really, really well, you're always thinking of, okay, what's going to happen on a gloomy day? So I'm having to take on more of the training, and also doing a lot of research where predominantly what I do is project management and business analysis, but where, IT is the in thing at the moment, trying to step out of my comfort zone and introduce courses that I think are going to be relevant during the pandemic and after the pandemic. So for example, cybersecurity, artificial intelligence, robotic process automation, all of that techie stuff. So for me, it's just having to think outside the box a lot more than usual.
I definitely agree with that. One thing I had to pick up, especially during this time, was project management, because I normally would hire project managers. But I've noticed that at this point, that just due to the fact that I was the person who runs the company, especially the people in the NHS, they wanted to have more contact with me and ask, my opinions and stuff. So I had to learn how to. Usually, I stick to what I'm good at. I'm good at IT. I'm good at coding stuff. So I normally stick to that and hire people outside to sort out the project management part. But I couldn't do that in this condition. So I had to actually pick that up.
So it seems like a lot of you are actually, it hasn't, well, even though it's impacted you, it hasn't impacted you negatively. So for people who have actually had it negative impact, what advice would you give to them?
What's happening right now is quite unprecedented, right? Like, you speak to people who are much older than you, and they tell you they've never seen this happen ever. I really believe we're in the Great Reset, which basically means that for the most of us, everything's now going to start from the beginning again. So this is actually the time to pick up that skill. Like Ade was saying, she's now picking up some IT skills, and was saying the same thing. Like, this is now the time to pick up skills. And to be honest with you, if you have something that if you're not doing something you love or have any type of passion about, this is the time.
I mean, just to add to that, I definitely agree. I think it's not ironic if you look at some of the biggest companies in the world, from your IBMs to your Apples, Burger King, Microsoft. It's not a coincidence that they were started up actually in tough times. It was during recession, right? You could liken this to recession, right? The economy this is unprecedented. It's like you said, it's the economy has almost come to a bit of a halt, and the reason why, you have to ask the reason why, and it's because these are the times when innovation, like the people who are actually most creative and who are most agile actually win the most. And if you think about it as a small business owner or someone who's self-employed, you're probably more agile and more nimble than any of the big companies out there. So it actually almost levels out the playing field. So the first advice I would give is just knowing that, I think, should give you a lot of encouragement that actually, if there ever is, it's ironic, isn't it? Because most people think this is the worst time to start a business. It's probably one of the best times, because number one, it creates problems. It creates more problems than there were before. Number two, what's really unique about what's happening now, and it might never happen in our lifetimes again, is it's pushed the whole market into one place, which is online. Right? Social media already made the world smaller, but it's actually giving you now access to absolutely everyone. Look at the biggest companies that are doing really well right now. It's all online. I think someone mentioned about going online. Online is where to be right now. And that kind of answers the question before too, in terms of what skills to learn. For me, I think the biggest premium skill to have right now is anything around online marketing. Right? If you're able to know how to utilize online platforms to get attention, everybody is in front of a TV right now. Everybody's in front of their phones right now. You probably would never have a time like this where everyone's attention is fully online. The other day, my mum asked me if I wanted a Zoom. I almost fell out my chair because what would my mum ever known about Zoom before? So it's just about really figuring out. And I loved what you said too about passion, because a lot of these businesses that actually got started are now massive organizations that got started in the recession and in hard times, were actually created out of a problem that the founder was actually facing themselves, right? Just think about how many things are we dealing with that I actually hate this, there's no solution to it, it's getting on my nerves. You be the person to solve it, right? And because you're nimble enough and your overheads are low enough, you can offer either better pricing or just better quality than many big organizations out there. And also, let's remember that unfortunately, this is not something that I'm celebrating, but unfortunately, there are many large organizations that are actually folding right now. Question is, where are those customers going to? Right? Where are they going to? Like, there's an overspill now of customers who are now looking, or people who are now looking to other providers in order to actually solve their problem. Whether it's actually, where do I buy that hair from now, or where do I buy those clothes from right now? So I'd actually say this is probably the best time to become a small business owner or to become an entrepreneur in any shape or form.
Yeah, I like what you said, Peter, about being creative. So what would you say that you need in terms of personal skills to continue your business?
First of all, I'm going to just put this out there. I think, and I specifically speak in terms of, when I say I'm noticing there's, in terms of the Black community, honestly, I think sometimes what we lack is, we have so many great innovative ideas, right? We're so creative, like in terms of just mindset. You can speak to any average Black person and they'll probably have the makings of 1 billion Facebooks, like just in their heads. One thing that sometimes we just need support in is the art of execution. And when I say execution, I'm not only talking about just hard work and diligence. We have that in abundance. I genuinely do believe that. But one thing that sometimes we do lack is access to quality education of, like, there's even education behind business, right? There's a formula. There actually is a formula to business that you need to understand. What does it mean to actually look at a market, do proper research, and understand whether the needs that you're trying to actually fulfill will be able to be monetized, and how do you monetize that? How do you create systems around that? And one of the quickest ways to do it, if you look at people who've done best in business, is they have amazing mentors around them, right? It's they find someone who's been there, done it. I don't know what it is sometimes about us where we feel like we need to just do it on our own, right? Like, it's
That's true.
The smart ones find someone. The smart ones get
exactly
them.
Right.
Yeah,
find someone who's been there. I mean, before I started, before we got into franchising, the amount of people who were already in like the industry that we spoke to, hey, look at this business spreadsheet for me, like the balance sheet, like what do you think? Would you go through it? Could you guide me through it, right? And learning from them. It doesn't mean I'm going to depend on them for everything, but just trying to, you've been there, you've done it, you worn the t-shirt, you've made all the mistakes, so why can't I learn from that and actually elevate it to a next level? So one of the, I know you said about skills, but one of the biggest honest kind of just advice I would give anyone is just try and find a really good mentor, and they would also direct you towards knowing yourself more and knowing which areas you lack, right? Because I can put skills out there, but some people might be amazing already at digital marketing, but what they really need is understanding on the financial part of business. So a mentor is meant to also actually reveal that part of you that you might need to brush up on to even be better in business.
Okay, what about leveraging from a team? Leveraging. You can leverage by getting a team. Like, you don't necessarily need to know every process in the business. You can get a team.
I just want to say something. Okay, I want to say something. One thing I would say that for me, I kind of struggled because when I started, it wasn't really popular for everyone to like jump on doing hair, and you'll go to your local Brixton, or I'm from East London, so it'll be Upton Park. Do you know what I mean? So it kind of made me understand there's a change in dynamic. You know how you lot are talking about mentors? So like, for instance, for me in hair, okay, I went hair school. I've done my degrees, do you know what I mean? Did my masters, did everything. But now in this like society, I've clocked that, you know how you lot are always saying, like, everybody has said it today, like, this is the great time to do business and do whatever. But it's like, now we're gonna make everybody's gonna think that they can do a business, do you understand? And the mistakes can cost us, as like, we're black. So if everybody, like, okay, something I've seen on Instagram, everybody's opening up a hair, like they're selling hair or they're doing wigs. But I'm thinking to myself that, okay, in another race, it will be harder for you to do that because you have to go through the steps to learn, and you have to have a great mentor. Like, there's so many chefs that, because I was watching a chef program yesterday, but there's so many chefs that look upon people who have got their Michelin star. But I've noticed something with black people, sometimes it's just like they just want to do it quick. So when they're trying to do that, if all of them do that, like maybe half of them fail, and it affects us as a whole. Do you understand what I'm saying? Because there's something
so that's why I asked, what are the personal skills that you need in order to maintain a business? Because maintaining business isn't easy. So what are those personal skills? And even in terms of like your mental health and mental stability, in the terms of the lockdown right now, some people have been impacted negatively as affecting their, obviously, monthly income or weekly income, or however it was for them. So now it's affecting their livelihood, it's affecting how they probably can even relate to other people in their households and stuff like that. So what would you say that what skills specifically do you need in order for you to continue your business? Like, you need resilience. Like, one of those skills that I would say is resilience, to continue, be persistent.
Can I just say something? I think it's interesting, the question you're asking, and I don't know if this is necessarily a skill, but something I've learned, and I've learned it the hard way, is when I first got into creating my business and whatever, to me it was a case of, okay, I wanted to create a business to make money, but that's actually not what a business is there for. A business is there to create customers. In order for you to create customers, you must establish relationships. So a big skill is trustworthiness and empathy and some form of loyalty. Because I mean, like, Ade, you're saying, there are people out there who sell wigs and they just started. But the truth is, you've been doing it for a long time, and you've established relationships with people. So what's going to happen is, it's interesting how people buy products. People don't buy products because they like them. Sometimes
no.
they buy products because they like the person selling that product.
Okay, so Nana, So, Nana, sorry, because that is a very big one for me. It's now like it's the dynamics have changed. So it's not about, oh, okay, Ade's the best hairdresser in the world. It's about who Ade knows. So if she knows that person, then Ade's, you know what I mean? It's changed. That's why I was trying to say to you that it's actually changed, which is scary, because it's like back in the day, if you know Gordon Ramsay, you know he's a good chef. But Gordon Ramsay goes on ITV Morning, starts making a funny joke. He becomes a meme on Instagram. So we are deflected from he's a good chef to he's funny with a meme. Like, do you understand what I'm saying? So it's like, I was scared because I'm not a person who really likes, it's not socializing, but I know how to network. But socializing, I didn't think it was a must. But I've noticed with business now, you have to either lick arse or you have to beg it with this person to get up there, or you have to be commenting and liking on someone's. And that's how it is for my scene, which is the beauty scene. And imagine, I don't like doing that. So yeah, it makes me want to take a step back and probably, okay, Ade, you step back and just get young girls who are going to do all that. But that's not where my passion's at. So it just becomes scary, because if you're saying that,
do you think that sometimes you have to come out of your comfort zone in order for you to progress?
But then, you know, you're saying that you have to be yourself. So it's you're like balancing, like, be yourself or do what you need to do to make money. Like, if I put my bum out and I had a 40-inch wig, I'm telling you, everybody's gonna like my pictures, and do you know what I mean? But it's like you're being the grandma, trying to be prestige, trying to give a good service, but girls don't care about that unless, do you understand? Unless they've been given bad service. But on the first page of someone's Instagram, all they want to see is glitz and glam, who they know, the famous person, the rapper, or this or that, and it's just wild. So it's like, it depends on your business. So obviously IT people, you obviously care about systems and programs, but social media.
Let me say this, yeah. Ade, let me tell you this, yeah. I started social media probably about 4 years ago. I'm in IT. Let me tell you something right now. IT is probably the most boring subject you could put on social media right now, on something like Instagram. So it's not about showing glitz and glamour per se. I just think it's about trying to think outside the box. Eventually, I got to the point where I realized, okay, well, I'm going to use the social media to start showing like things like IT news that were interesting to me, but also were I don't know, like not so, it wouldn't be so technical that that your general Johnny public would also understand it. You understand? You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
The whole point, the reason, to be honest with you, my dream is not necessarily even to run an IT company. My dream is to actually be a thought leader in my industry. So that's where I'm building most of my legacy, if that makes sense. You're going to have, that's what I'm saying, like from a business perspective, you're going to have to show who you are anyway. Your business is going to reflect you regardless. I'm like you, I don't like, to be honest with you, I don't really like things like this. I'm a very private person, okay? Yeah. I'm a very private person, so I have to now have the balance of trying to show my character, but also not so much. Like, for example, if you go to my social media or if you have my WhatsApp, you will find out I don't put my wife, I don't put my kids, I don't put my family on the social media. You barely see my face on social media. However, I also understand the to communicate and to also show your personality. You know, so it's definitely a difficult balance, but you don't have to have it. You don't have to do that with everybody. That's the beautiful thing about it.
Yeah, that's true.
You have a tight-knit group of people who you guys pretty much create your own economic base.
So I just wanted to go on.
No, go ahead.
Okay. I think based on experience, I completely understand, Ade, where you're coming from. I think in terms of skills, what's really worked for me, so Ope, you mentioned leveraging, and I thought to myself, okay, I know the basics of what a project manager does and what a business analyst does, but I need my team. I need my people skills to get the right people on board that are going to have the same vision that I have and support me in my business. And I will tell you that that has worked fantastically for me in terms of, you know, getting someone that is very good in a key topic or a key course, who has the passion. It's about having the passion. It's about having the drive. There's a million people that do exactly what I do, but in my mind, I always think about what is my unique selling point that is going to set me apart from everyone else. What is it that I've seen out there that I'm not a fan of? I've walked in the shoes of a lot of these candidates already. What were my frustrations when I walked that journey that I do not want to bring into my business or do not want to bring into their career journey? So I think the skills are constantly thinking outside the box. You have to have really good analysis skills. You have to analyze, you have to do your research, you have to look at your competitors. Okay, competition is good. For me, competition is good because it makes you just, you know, want to work harder. I want to have that drive. I want to have that passion. And I think don't give up. Don't give up. You know, we're in this and we're going to come out of it and we're going to be on top. And you use this time to improve your business, which is what I'm doing. I'm using this time to improve my business. So by the time this is over, my business is right at the top.
I love that. I love that.
Me too.
Nathan, I'm coming over to you. So I want to go down to mental stability in terms of a business and, you know, the fear of it possibly impacting your business negatively. Did you have that at any point?
Yes, I think it's humanly, it's a human thing for everyone to have a little bit of fear with regards to what's happening and how that is then going to impact their business. As self-employed people, I think we all share the same thing where if we don't work, we don't get paid. So I think naturally we're going to have that fear. Now, I think this ties into, you know, the conversation that we've been having, which is you just need to believe in yourself. I think, sorry, I can't remember what the young lady's name is that was here. But you have to just believe in your brand and believe in yourself and know that you've taken all the necessary steps to be at the top of your game with regards to what you do. And you don't necessarily in my, you know, sort of field when it comes to mortgages and stuff, I have a lot of competitors. But I don't necessarily sort of watch what they're doing per se, because I know within myself that I am the best mortgage broker out there. And, you know, I know that because of that and because of the way I deal with my clients and the results that I get for them, I know that the business is going to come off the back of that. Because when it comes to word of mouth, that is the most powerful thing. So yes, there is a little bit of fear, and I think that's natural. That will sort of help you, you know, to motivate yourself to do a little bit better. And you just need to believe in yourself, and you need to be adaptable, and you just need to remember that change is the only one thing that's constant in life. So nothing's ever going to stay the same. You just need to be able to adapt to those changes, preempt them if you can, and always look to finding solutions how you're going to sort of stay on top and how your business, you know, is going to survive and thrive.
Yeah. I'll just love to add something to that. Thanks for that, Nathan. By the way, my wife's a mortgage broker too, so that whole being the best, I don't know. You got some tough competition there, but we can have that out another day. Since you're linking this to kind of just mental stability and well-being, I do think it's really important to understand, and I loved what Ade said earlier. I think if you really had to pinpoint one type of skill set that's really needed here, is just leadership, right? And one of the hardest things to do in business is detach the person leading it from the business itself. I think this was said earlier by Nana too, that the business actually does become a reflection of whoever's leading it, right? It becomes a reflection of you. But unfortunately, one of the toughest things about business as a whole, or just being in business, is the uncertainty it brings. And unfortunately, what COVID-19 has done is accelerated that and magnified it to a next level. No one saw this coming, and it's just basically almost like just taking the carpet off everyone's feet. right? And it's just business was already uncertain, right? But this has just made it 10 times just magnified. And I think for me personally, one of the biggest things that anybody, whether you're a business owner or even not, but anybody can do, but it's particularly helpful as a business owner, is to clearly define what it is you're trying to achieve, right? Really look at what the end goal is. And when I say really look at the end goal, you should end up getting to a point where you realize it's bigger than just the business and making money, right? It's about who you're becoming, right, through the whole process. And I'll be honest with you, one of the biggest things I never thought I'll probably even get to, but one of the biggest things that's kept me grounded, maybe that's helped me in terms of just mental stability, is just utilizing this time just to spend more time with my family, full stop, right? Just because at the end of the day, like you said, many things are uncertain. Business is definitely uncertain, but one thing that you can kind of still hold on to, knowing that it will keep you just like basically to the ground, are people around you, like your relationships, your family. I'm a Christian, so my relationship with God's like, those are the things that I know I'm not going to ever move. So guess what, even if I did lose my business tomorrow, like you almost, my philosophy in life is to expect the best but plan for the worst, right? So I have to plan for, if let's say COVID-19 lasted another 3-6 months, what if it lasted a year? What if it meant that I couldn't keep my business running, right? I still have my son though. I still have my wife, right? I still have my mum. I still have my dad. So those things, I think when you really look at it like that, it will actually push you to a point where you can run your business effectively, because it just kind of helps keep you grounded. Again, I'm not trying to kind of belittle it for people. I mean, there are generally people out there who that might still not be helpful for and would still obviously need other things apart from that. But for me personally, I think that's one of the biggest things that you can do for your mental well-being at this moment in time.
I agree. If I can just chime in as well, just off the back of what Peter was saying, in terms of the sort of mental health side of things, absolutely, I think you're correct in that way. I think once you're able to see what I would say COVID-19 has done is it's made us really realize what things are important in life as a human being. So when you have, we all have businesses and we all have money to make, etc., etc. But when you can ground yourself as a person to say, I understand what really, really is important, that I think does wonders for your mental health. Because me personally, I'm sort of isolated up north, and all my family is in London, so I can only speak to them on the phone, and video chat, etc. So it has become a little bit difficult for me because I'm just in the house every day. But those are the things that sort of keep me going every day apart from my business, and because I'm grounded that way mentally, that enables me to first of all be a better person within myself, and that then projects itself into my business life. So yes, totally agree.
Can I just add one thing as well? Sorry, and just on the back of that, because I haven't heard anyone mention this. The barbers, guys, we miss you, man. Oh man, I could cry right now. Like, that's it.
I know you guys see.
I second and third that.
I know you see what I'm working with over here. I know you can see me.
Yo, I can see you, man. Peter's looking good. I don't know how he's doing. He's letting his wife cut his hair.
I had to purchase those razors, those YouTube clips on how to do a homegrown fade. That's definitely easy.
with the two mirrors, yeah.
Exactly.
Okay, guys. So we're going to round up now. Thank you so much. So I'm just thinking maybe we should go around and just give some advice to just keeping headstrong obviously in terms of your business, and if you want to offer any tips or anything that's kept you going, that would be good as well. Specifically the men, because you guys can relate to men, and it's Men Is Everything Okay? So because a lot of guys that are self-employed that I know that are unable to, that their business have been impacted negatively. At the moment, a lot of them are suffering from anxiety because they haven't necessarily experienced anything like this. So that's the reason why I'm like, okay, you know, obviously with you guys, it hasn't been so negative for you. Some of you, it's business as usual. I just want to know, like, what kind of advice would you give them just to keep afloat?
I know you said men, but I'm sure you don't mind. I think use this time to think of how you're going to come back and bounce back 10 times better. Use this time to think about how you're going to restructure, how you're going to re-strategize, and how you're going to improve on your unique selling points. Don't give up, you know, you have your skills, work on your skills, continue to have that passion, continue to have that drive. And have people around you who are perhaps doing the same type of business so that you guys can leverage off each other.
Like I said before, this is the great reset. You've already got, if you've already started a business and that's supplying you and is taking care of you, you've already got that disease that you can't get rid of. It's the hustler's disease. You'll never be able to get rid of it. There's no way you'd be working for yourself all this time and then go and stack shelves in Tesco's or wherever. So don't keep yourself isolated. Reach out to people around you. And the stuff that the Queen said earlier, which was so amazing, you know, you can't be everything in the company. You should actually try your best to get some talent, you know, and build yourself up. That's the only way, because unfortunately as Black people, we have always tried to do things on our own. I don't know what it is, whether it's what conditioning, but the Jews don't do it, the Chinese don't do it, the Indians don't do it. They're all actually helping each other. So that's what we just need to do. Just reach out to your peers and yeah, check out Conscious IT, admin Conscious IT, Instagram.
Nathan?
Yeah. I think tips from me, the first thing I would say is if you fail to plan, then you're planning to fail. So you always have to plan, and within that plan, you need to understand how you're going to adapt to any changes that are going to happen, because we know that the changes are definitely going to happen. If anyone, you know, was in any world where they thought that what they were doing was just going to last forever, then COVID-19 has just come and hit and let us understand that this is reality. So you definitely need to plan. If you have a plan in place, then pandemics like this are going to hit you, but you will be able to bounce back from it. You need to be adaptable as well. So I would say, you know, try and focus on, you know, varying your sort of skill set and not just putting your eggs into one basket. Absolutely, I would say get help. That's one thing that I want to sort of echo for everyone. We all think that we should do it on our own. I don't know why. It's crazy. Anyone who has been successful has never ever done it on their own. They have a good team, you know, behind them. So I think those are the main things from me. And the last thing I would say is believe in yourself, man.
Most definitely.
That's one of the most important things. You got to believe in your own source, and just hit the street like you're the best thing smoking out there, you know.
Love it. Ade?
So Ope, I second what he said. He said it perfectly at the end. So about the source and just believing in yourself, because I was going to say as well that obviously me being a Christian as well, it is faith that has carried me through this journey, because a lot of you, there's people that here that have said that they're married, they're, you know, like being a woman at this certain age that I'm at as well, because I'm 32, it is extremely hard, because you can imagine, like, I'm thinking about, okay, when I'm going to have kids and stuff like that. So it is, I'm like Nathan, where it is a bit lonely. Do you understand? But I always put all my faith in God for me. So that's the advice I'll give someone, is just like, everyone needs a blanket. So if you know that it's your family, if you know it's your faith, if
and the only thing I'll add, just to kind of hop on the back of what Ade was just sharing, is that yeah, I think when this whole like lockdown first started happening, one of the biggest kind of, I guess, revelations I got, especially when we had to shut the store, was that it's going to be a real test for me of who I really see as my source. Like, am I really hanging on to like my businesses as my source of living, or like what really matters to me, right? And I think that's why I said what I said earlier in regards to just understanding that, number one, I've got God, and that's the most important thing. And number two, he's blessed me with amazing people around me. And I think when you kind of rise above, like understanding that whatever you're doing, including business, is just part of your journey and it's not who you are. It's just part of like the tools that you use to make impact. You kind of like can imagine the worst case scenario that makes you anxious, right? So probably the thing that makes anyone more anxious than anything in business is a failing business. And how you define a failing business is a business that has to shut down. But is that really failing? And you have to kind of redefine what failure means, I think. And sometimes that helps, because if you redefine what failure means, it means that if I even had to shut down my business, it's never a good experience for obviously anyone. But majority of people who've done really well in business have had how many failing businesses before they got there. As I mentioned, I'm part of the co-founders for an organization called Cornerstone, in which we invest into Black businesses. And one of the first things we look at is actually people's experience through business. And sometimes when they've had a few failed businesses and learned from it, it actually makes them more attractive, right? For investment, because you can tell who they're becoming, right? They become better business people. So I think when you have that kind of mindset, it generally does help. So you're bigger than business, basically, is the biggest message here.
Great stuff. So thank you guys for joining the conversation. I hope that people were able to really chime in and listen to the advice that you gave, and also just keep hope alive, pretty much. So thank you all, and yeah, bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thanks everyone. See you
Thank
later.
you. Bye everyone.